Hello, everyone. This is again Nazak Hamad and Miriam Matibi. We have discussed with you in the previous video faculty development, describing the projects and the modules that will be created. And if you recall from our previous video, we mentioned that career development and promotion has been identified by African oncologists as one of the most important area of need. And so what are the tenets of career development and promotion? These are which will be discussed in modules to develop and maintain a teaching portfolio and define individual career success, identify career transition, and determine how to plan for career development in education, research, and service. And also to identify challenges and sources and resources for support and professional development.
And so in terms of trying to define career success, I think it's important to always sort of take a step back and look at what is a career vision? What is the ultimate sort of 30,000 feet view as to this is where I'm starting off from and where do I want to go? But then again, in terms of sort of distilling that into what are your specific career goals, right? And how are you looking at what are the strategies that you're going to employ for, accomplishing these goals? It's fine to have a vision, but without goals and timelines, and then it just becomes another esoteric sort of, philosophical discussion. So really drilling down into how are you able to adequately define and achieve those goals, and more importantly, set timelines in order for you to have or to be able to achieve your goals.
And that's why the concept of career transitions is very important. So you need to identify what your current career transitions are and determine how to plan for your career development in education, research, and service. And there are several ways for defining transition. One is early, mid, and late career faculty, or this is an example we have here of a more descriptive sort of transition from, according to academic rank, whether you're an assistant professor, mid-level assistant, early associate professor, that may take about 4 to 7 years. And then level 3 is associate professor or early professor, up to 15 years, from 8 to 15 years. And then level of professor 16 plus. And of course, this varies by the country you're in, by the institution you're in. So you need to know what are the criteria for each institution. You need to know what, how the areas, your goals for growth. These could be clinical competence in research, in teaching, in administration, and in leadership. So, and having time, trying to keep a mental plan or an actual plan of how much time you need to devote for each in these academic years will help you with those sorts of transitions.
And so while we've said one of the other important transitions could be briefly defined as either early, mid, or late career, and what we are hoping to do is to do a deeper dive into each of those particular sort of transition points and sort of looking at what are the unique challenges and opportunities at each stage. Just to give you a bit of a flavor, for instance, if you look at the early career faculty challenges, and this is pretty much something that probably resonates with quite a number of us, and we're looking at the tension between time constraints in research and training versus, clinical service. Again, because maybe you're the newest kid on the block, you maybe have a lack of collegial relations, you don't necessarily have a network that you've sort of expanded on or a referral base. Again, you may have inadequate feedback and recognition and rewards because, again, depending on the system you're plugging into, they may not necessarily be designed to provide that for you. And then sometimes it's also being a little and having unrealistic expectations or going to the other extreme of too little expectations. Sometimes you come in and you're like, I want to be, head of department in 1 year. newsflash, not going to happen. So how do you then build that up as part of your trajectory over a period of time, for instance, if that is an aspiration of yours, and how do you make it something that's achievable but realistic, and then start to build the blocks early on towards that? Again, insufficient resources. As an early researcher, you don't necessarily have access to major bucks where people are, giving out lots of funding, but looking at how do I then build up my research pedigree, for instance, or my service pedigree in order for me to advance professionally. And of course, in variable attention, there's only so many, hours in the day. How do you get that balance between work and life? Because at the end of the day, you still do need to have balance, and it can't be all about work. You still do need to have, you take care of yourself and your mental wellness and physical well-being. And so all those challenges and looking at how do we then optimize the stage you're in are part of what ultimately the modules will be doing.
I think the knowing about these transitions and design and kind of defining them is very important. Sometimes I hear from young faculty in Africa is that these transitions are not well defined in their institutions. But since oncology is relatively a new field, not actually in many parts of the world, this is it's important to know about these transitions so that you can help define them within your department, within the environment you're in. And so we will be we will be sort of in our modules and a workshop trying to help or distill what's an individual, how do you go about your individual early career planning. And the best way for doing that is actually to do it proactively, not passively, not just kind of start somewhere and just let the years go by. You have to kind of be very proactive in you manage your career. You have to be able to negotiate whether is your space for teaching and learning, for seeing patients, for research, for advancement. Again, you have to work on balancing the personal and professional, not letting one tip over the other. You have to set boundaries for your productivity. And very important, especially for young faculty, is two things: seeking feedback, so that you need to know how to seek it and how to act on it and how to accept it, of course. And something that a lot of people may neglect is having an individual mentor. Of course, when we say an individual mentor, you can have more than one mentor, but it's very important to have one or two who are actually helping you along with your career. And in our next videos, we'll be talking about that. There is, of course, especially this generation understands the value of networking, because that's where a lot of the challenges you can address it. You can create a community of practice and you can collaborate. And most importantly is you need to define, if you know this is what I'm going to do in the next 5 years or the next 10 years, you need to look and examine your work habits and see if they actually match, or is there a discrepancy, or what do you need to do? Are you overworked or you underworked, and how do you kind of match your goals with the way you run your daily life and the way you work? So I think we'll stop here for this video, and please stay tuned for the next video, in which we'll be talking about teaching competencies, about what are the competencies for curriculum development, as well as program evaluation. So thank you very much, and thank you, Miriam.
Thank you all, and looking forward to seeing you in the next set of videos. Stay tuned.